Back with college football news. The annual rivalry game between Michigan and Ohio State has been canceled due to an increase in cases within the Michigan program. Due to Big Ten rules, if the Buckeyes do not play the game this week, they would be ineligible to play in the conference title game the following week. Here's their head coach, Ryan Day, yesterday.
You know, we have to take a hard look periodically at all this stuff. And I think that this is one of those situations. And if we don't quite get the games we need to get into the championship game, then I think that needs to be looked at hard, just like anybody else in the conference.
I don't believe that anybody, Ohio State or any other team, should just be punished because of decisions we made by looking at 8 games and saying we should play 6 and not knowing the effects of what happens to them and their team versus what others, because of what happens to our team, affects them.
That's the AD of Michigan campaigning for Ohio State. You know 2020 is the most unusual year ever. Paul and Desmond and Heather back with us. Let's cover this piece of it quickly, Heather. What happens now? Ohio State, Wednesday, you've told us repeatedly, is a huge day for this. What happens now for Ohio State?
Well, Greeny, when we were speaking earlier this morning, the athletic directors were discussing whether or not they need to change that rule, lower it to 5 games. I haven't received any updates yet or any official word as to if they've come to any conclusions, but they can also just schedule shuffle. Maybe they have some extra flexibility and they have Maryland play Ohio State and make up that game that was canceled earlier, but then what do you do with Rutgers? So there's a lot of questions. Stay tuned. I absolutely expect an answer one way or another at some point today.
All right, we will keep you close by for that. Meanwhile, I want to get to a different piece of this, Paul, that I think is interesting. Gary Barta is the head of this, of the college football playoff committee. You see him every Tuesday night with Reese Davis and the crew answering all the questions about this. He is also the AD at Iowa, which, of course, is in the Big Ten. And so on Tuesday night, he's explaining what exactly it is that they're going to do with Ohio State. And then on Wednesday, he's in this conversation that Heather was talking about, where the athletic directors in the Big Ten are figuring out what they should do with Ohio State. How would you describe the optics of that situation?
Well, the optics are not good, but let me defend, for the first time ever, the chairman of the committee. Greeny, when Gary Barta comes out and talks to Reese every Tuesday night, and Heather can attest to this better than I can, he is representing the committee. Those are not his personal opinions. Those are the opinions of the 13 people. They talk about, after they decide what they're going to do, then they work on their messaging with Bill Hancock, the executive director. So I've been guilty in the past of coming after the chairman, but in the end, I don't think he is in a conflicted position, even though the optics, as you said, are not good.
I guess, and Desmond, maybe I didn't phrase the question right. It's not so much that he's conflicted by being the spokesperson, but I mean, if they're all wondering, if the ADs are all in this meeting today wondering, well, I wonder what the committee is looking for out of Ohio State here, they don't have to wonder because the guy in charge of the whole thing is sitting on the conference call with the rest of them. That's really, Desmond, what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, you first of all, you worded the question perfectly. That's just Paul Feinbaum trying to wiggle his way out of an answer, because the hypocrisy is astounding, Paul. First of all, so you can recognize that Barta represents the people in the room, so you don't want to attack him. But you don't recognize that the Big Ten commissioner, Kevin Warren, he represents the people in the room too, but you don't have a problem beating up Kevin Warren, even though it's not his decision. It's the decision of the Big Ten's presidents and chancellors who he represents. But when Greeny posed to you the question about Barta, now all of a sudden, well, I can't criticize Barta because he's not the guy making the decisions. He represents those other people. No, you can't have it both ways. I think that Barta should recuse himself, because he is in a precarious situation, because it's already out there, Greeny. Like I said earlier, the ADs, they've made it known that they want to try to finagle a way to find how they can get Ohio State in the college football playoff. They're clearly the best football team in the Big Ten. And if the Big Ten is going to have any hopes of winning the championship, it lies with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and so that's what they're trying to do. So I think that it may be right for Gary Barta to recuse himself in this situation.
Paul, I got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Well, again, I don't want to be repetitive because time is short, but Gary Barta is simply the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee. That is his role. It's very explicit, and I think I've heard. And by the way, everything I'm quoting, I've learned from Heather over these many years because I've always wondered about the hypocrisy myself.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.